This is going to be a very raw, real and honest account of trimester 1, staying active and teaching fitness at the same time. So if you've just fallen pregnant, you're a very active person, or maybe you teach group exercise, or you're a fit pro, or maybe you're just kind of interested how it all works, like behind the scenes, I'm going to tell you a very honest and raw account in the hope that it helps you or it helps somebody else. So this is exactly why I'm recording this. And I do think that trimester 1 is one of those often quite private times, and it's not really widely spoken about. Like, a lot of people, you choose to tell people when you want to, but a lot of people don't really like to talk about it until after their 12-week scan. Some people like to announce it to the world straight away. And for some people, it can be a bit of a worrying time, anticipating what's actually going to happen. So I don't really think trimester 1 is often that spoken about. So I thought I would talk about kind of my experience and how I found it, and to see if that will help other people. So trimester 1 was an interesting one for us. So what actually happened with me and Will is we wanted to start a family. We'd been trying for a couple of years, and that it's a complete, probably whole entire podcast episode for another time. But we got to a point where I'd just become quite happy in the fact that I wasn't going to be a mum, and I made a promise to myself that I was just going to be the best auntie ever. And actually, I really love my life, and that's fine. Anyway, immediately, as soon as I'd made that decision, I got pregnant a week later. And I found out on the morning of our squad 5-year party, because I've done so many tests, and a couple of things have been a bit off that week. So I have these multivitamins, and they're chewy vitamins for adults. I know, I just really like them. They're really tasty. They're basically sweets. And I completely went off them. It was a new packet, so I thought there was something wrong with the pack. And I said to Will, these have got to go back to Amazon because they just stink like chemicals. They're so bad. They're so off. I can't believe they'd send these out. And then Will said, they just smell like Jolly Jellies. Like, no, they don't. You don't have them. You don't understand. Anyway, there was that. And then I also had a coffee and it tasted like salt. And Will said to me the night before the party, he said, I really think you should take a test tomorrow. I really think you should. So I said, I wasn't really keen because I'd done that many and it was always like a disappointment. I said, okay, all right, yeah, I'll do one. Anyway, I did. And the moment you find out you get pregnant, I just thought I would be in floods of tears, like, oh my gosh, it's the best thing ever. And I just presumed that I would be like that. And I wasn't. I looked at the test and my heart was beating so hard that my ears were pulsing, and I was just in complete and utter shock. I didn't really know what to feel like. And then I took a second test and a third test, and I was definitely pregnant. And then I don't know what I was doing. The next hour was this huge blur. And apparently Will said that was been really annoying, like going around the house really loud, like doors were banging, and I didn't know what I was doing. I think I was just in this like panic. So trying to carry on with my day as normal, but probably just being really loud doing it. But everything was just a blur. I could not concentrate. And I told Will, and his reaction was really similar. Obviously, we were both really happy and wanted it to happen, but we were just so shocked. And for the rest of the day, we were both just like little rabbits in headlights. And then we had to, pull ourselves together for hosting the biggest party that we've ever hosted in our lives. I had to make a speech that night, which initially I was quite nervous about doing, standing in front of 100 people, making a big speech. And I just wasn't nervous about it anymore. Like, I had bigger problems to think about. Not that it was a problem. It's not a problem. It is a really lovely thing that we didn't anticipate. Like I said, I'd completely given up on the hope that I was going to be a mum. Temporarily, at least, anyway. I just thought, well, I'm just going to park that because never mind, it's okay. I'm happy. And I was very much under the impression that, well, if my body can't do it, then I'm not going to force it. Like, I'm not going to make it happen. My body's just obviously not meant to. And obviously it was. Anyway, so that's how we found out. That is the morning that we found out. And I confided in my sister because I felt like I needed someone at the party who knew. My sister and my sister's best friend, who's basically like my sister too. We are like 3 sisters. And also my best friend Jenny. I confided in them So I had allies at the party who would know. So if anyone was trying to pass me any Prosecco, it could quickly be replaced by a Nosecco. And that is where all the excitement and the journey really, really began. So that kind of caught me by surprise and caught me a little bit off guard, I think. But then as we started to warm to the idea that we were going to be parents, we just got really, really excited. Then in terms of symptoms, like what I felt, initially didn't really feel anything, like absolutely felt normal. Then the fatigue started to hit. And I would say this kind of came maybe after like week 8. So week 8 is where you would normally go and have your first appointment with your midwife. It lasts a really long time. It's like an hour and a half. We just ask you loads of questions about your medical history, Will's medical history, so your partner's medical history. They want to know everything. So you just tell them everything. And they make you do a urine sample, and they took your bloods as well and get them sent off just to make sure everything's okay. Anyway, for me, everything came back completely fine, completely normal. Everything's gravy. So that's what they do at that first one. But I think everything kind of started for me like after that point. So the fatigue really hit in the afternoons. I was needing to lie down, and that's not me at all. For anybody who knows me, I am so full of energy, I have way too much energy. I'm like a Duracell bunny, and I probably exhaust Will and Harvey the dog. But I just had to lie down. And Will would come home from work sometimes on a Wednesday. So on a Wednesday is my laundry fitness day. I'd be lying on the sofa like, are you okay? Anyway, it did floor me in the afternoons. In the mornings, absolutely fine. In the afternoons, no, not so great. There were a couple of times in class where I went a little bit lightheaded, and this would be something to watch out for. So basically, during the first trimester, you get something called vasodilation. So your blood vessels are dilating. And so if you think of it like a hose pipe, the hose pipe's getting wider, and it takes a while for the blood volume to catch up, which is why you can get lightheadedness and dizziness as well. So one thing I would say is to be really careful when you are getting up off the floor. So if you've been doing something where you're lying on the floor, say like you're doing a chest track in Stronger, for example, and you're coming to stand up, or whatever workout you do, you're doing a chest track, you come to stand up, just take your time. Or if you're doing anything where you're like spinning quickly, just watch out for that in the first trimester. I did find that a couple of times. I also found that my boobs were so sore. So, I mean, they actually grew as well, which I've always been part of the ITBC, which is, IBTC, sorry, itty bitty titty committee. But all of a sudden I had these boobs that just came from nowhere. I was like, okay, this is a nice little surprise. But they were very sore at the beginning. In the first trimester, I found that I did have some food aversions, not many. And it seemed to be a bit random. So there's 1 week where I just went off yogurt, and then I was fine again. So then there were some things that I just didn't like. And towards the end of the first trimester, I was absolutely smashing the bread. I'm talking like 11, 12 pieces of bread a day, because sometimes it was all that I could really, really face. I was still making myself eat. So for me, the nausea was really bad, and it was bad for the whole day. Like, it wasn't just something that happened in the morning. It would just be whenever it fancied, and it lasted a long time. But the thing that made me feel better, even though you don't feel like eating, is actually eating, and just eating little and often, and just whatever you can have. And if it's all beige food, fantastic, great. Just get it into your body, because your body needs it. Your body is making a human, it's making bones. It needs whatever energy you can muster up. So I did find that I didn't actually get... No, I did. I got some cravings at the beginning for potato smileys. No, I don't eat potato smileys. It was really weird. And I don't know why I wanted potato smileys, but I needed potato smileys. That was the only thing. I must admit that's kind of gone now. I'm in my second trimester as I'm recording this right now. And that's kind of gone. But I just don't think anyone really talks about all of this. So I just thought I would share kind of my experience here. I did need to pee all the time as well. So my sleep would be really disrupted because I need to pee all the time in the night. And that's because of all the hormonal changes that are going on in your body, etc. Now, when it comes to teaching fitness, I personally didn't change anything. I didn't need to. I teach my classes in the morning, and that's when my energy was really, really good. So I didn't feel the need to change anything. I think there was one class where I felt a bit nauseous, but that was it. And I teach online, so if I really need to, I could just run out the room and, go to the loo. But I didn't. I was never actually physically ill, which I'm really happy about, but I just kind of felt it. But apart from, like I said, just getting up off the floor, feeling a little bit dizzy a couple of times, nothing needed to change. The only things that you do need to sort of change, particularly towards like the end of the first trimester, really, you want to be avoiding things like crunches, anything that is working the six-pack area. So you want to be focusing more on the deep core muscles, because you don't want to do anything that causes extra intra-abdominal pressure, because your abs are under so much pressure already, particularly as this human starts to grow inside you. It will be pushing and separating the abs. It's just something that happens. It's called diastasis recti. And for some women who, you can basically make it worse. For some women who have maybe been doing this kind of thing, or some women, they just do struggle to kind of get it back. It can be difficult to get your abs back together, if you like. They're not really ever apart. They're attached by the linea alba, which is basically like some connective tissue in the middle. But some women can struggle to bring them close back together, is what I'm trying to say. So anything that, six-pack, increasing intra-abdominal pressure, that can really, it can exasperate this, and we don't really want to. So anything like that you want to start thinking about avoiding. And if you do planks and you find that your tummy is coning or doming like a Toblerone, then you might want to stop doing planks or come down to your knees, because that's a sign that you're not engaging your deep core properly, and you'll be increasing that intra-abdominal pressure. So if you see that in your body, in your tummy, then you know that you're not engaging your core properly. So that was, just off the top of my head, that was it really. And towards the end, you want to avoid anything that's like twisting. So any twists that you do, rather than doing closed twists, you want to keep them open. Any deep twists, that's off the cards now. So deep twists, anything working the six-pack. Apart from that, in trimester 1, you're pretty much totally fine to carry on as normal. I would say listen to the body though. You might need to dial down the effort, and don't be so hard on yourself. If you planned a workout and you're just really, really not feeling like it, you are growing a human. It's okay to not do it, to have a day off, to pull back. So that's totally, totally fine. So with the teaching side of things, that's personally what I did, and also in my own workouts too, same thing. But apart from that, I kept everything the same. Now with the more kind of body image sort of side of things, I personally didn't really struggle with what my body looked like so much, because I was very happy that I'm able to grow a human being, and I know my body's going to change. So I was very rational about the whole thing. One thing I did actually struggle with that I should have mentioned on my symptoms was bloating. I had really bad bloating, and I thought that was like the start of the bump, when it probably really wasn't. Bloating and constipation, that was horrendous. But you do get that, and you do overcome it too. So it's a temporary thing. But no, I just kind of really rationalised with it, like, well, I'm growing a human. Of course my body's going to be different. Of course my body fat levels need to be higher. Of course I'm going to look a little bit different. This is a chapter in my life, where I'm growing a child. My body is so strong to be able to do this. I wouldn't say that I love looking pregnant. I definitely wouldn't go that far at all. I don't love it, but I completely understand that this is how my body needs to be right now, and that's totally fine. So that's sort of how I handled it in my mind, and just felt very proud of my body for doing this 100%. And with the emotional side, one thing that people don't really prepare you for is the fact that it is a freaking roller coaster. Like, some days I'd be so excited and so happy and so looking forward to this future life with a family, and oh my gosh, I'm going to have a family, amazing. And then it'd be like, wow, what have I done? Like, how am I going to be a mum? Like, how am I going to cope? Like, what do you do? And then just this feeling of overwhelm and anxiousness. And have I done the right thing? I kind of thought, oh my gosh, I feel so guilty for feeling this way. I feel so awful for feeling this way. And I opened up to the midwife about it on my next appointment. I said, look, I had a whole week where I felt like this, where I just felt like, what have I done? And she was like, don't worry, it is so normal. It is so common. She just completely validated how I felt. And she said, there's a lot going on in your body right now. There's a lot going on hormonally. And this is really, really, really normal to feel like this. And then she told me her story, and she was like, I felt like that as well. And then I felt like that initially as soon as I'd given birth as well. And then she was like, but of course I love my children now. And it was just a phase. It's just, there's a lot going on hormonally. And all of a sudden I felt like, oh, okay, great. I mean, it was just for that 1 week. And then I was like, back in the land of, oh, this is exciting. But I would just say that it's okay to feel a mixed bag of emotions. And there was a lot of me that was feeling nervous about, how would things pan out? I love to have a plan. And this is one of those things that you can only plan so far. And, when some people say, oh, it will just work out, like it'll just evolve, that just really didn't help me at all. I was like, how is it going to evolve? And of course, I know it will. And I have already got a plan. I know what I'm going to do moving forwards. And actually my job and what I do, it tends very well to this kind of thing. Like I really won't need to change anything at all. So it's amazing. I'm in such a fortunate position to be like that. But it doesn't stop me from feeling a little bit anxious about these things. And also things like, am I ready? Am I ready to be a mum? What does a mum look like? What does a mum feel like? What if I have a miscarriage? What am I going to do? How will I feel then? And all these things just run through your mind. But I think just talking to people openly, like I was so open with Will every day, give him a rundown, how I felt. I spoke to my mum and midwife. I think it's really, really important. Like, don't hold any of it in. And you can always do things like talking therapies. There's so much out there. But that's kind of how I did and how I coped. And also, just again, rationalising and normalising everything in my head. Like, it's okay to feel like this. It's totally normal. So, during this time, what will you need to do? Obviously be kind to you, but on a more practical note, you will have your 8-week appointment with your midwife around about then. And also you'll book your 12-week scan, which is where you get to see your baby for the first time. And when we saw baby Belle, our surname's Belle, when we saw baby Belle for the first time, all of a sudden you feel very, very connected, because you won't really feel any kicks by this stage. You won't really feel anything. So all of a sudden you feel this overwhelming love for this thing that's inside you. And if you don't feel like that, it's okay too. But I just personally, I felt so much more connected, like almost like a bit of a relief, and a relief to see it moving around so much. And they actually said to us, oh, it's a really active baby. And Will sat there going, oh no, I've got 2 of you now. But but it was really, really nice and really reassuring to see that. So to kind of conclude trimester 1, some gentle advice, like if I had to give it to anybody, is don't panic if you don't feel 100% excited all the time. Eat what you can. Don't worry about being perfect. Yes, it's important to nourish the body, but sometimes you just need to get in what you can get in. Nap, guilt-free. If your workouts don't go to plan, who cares? You're growing a human. Trust your body. So even when it feels a little bit weird, just go with it. And you're not lazy. You're making an actual human being. So I just want to say thank you so much for listening to this. And please, this is obviously a very honest and raw account. Do let me know if this has helped you. So please share it on your stories, leave a comment, or you can even DM me and let me know if it's helped you or made you feel a little bit more at ease. Or maybe if you know somebody else who is currently in their first trimester, that you could send it to maybe help them. Anyway, that's all for now, and I will be in touch soon with a second trimester update.